community, this is Tommy and welcome to another musical adventure. Thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, thanks for subscribing, thanks for liking. All the things that you do to help my channel, I appreciate it, and I want to thank you all for doing that. Today's adventure is a discussion starter. Now, I'm going to give a couple of examples to get this discussion sort of rolling, but I want to encourage you guys to make videos yourself, to get them going in the vinyl community. Comment down below if you don't want to make a video. I'd rather you make a video. But go ahead and comment down below if you think of something and you just don't feel like making a video. But today's discussion is, what band has a member who is only good for that band? Now, I'm going to give a couple of examples so before your heads all explode. And hopefully my examples will explain a little better the question. What band members are good for that band? Now, a little background. What really got this idea going for me was a couple of things. The first was the video that was recently uploaded to James Griffith's channel. If you haven't subscribed to James' channel, what are you doing? Get over there and subscribe to James's channel. He's got great content. He's always discussing some great records. I love the way he thinks critically about music, and I think he's got great taste. He did a joint video with Jeff Party, another vinyl community member who I also think has excellent taste and great insight into music and to records. And so if you haven't subscribed to James or Jeff's channels, go do it. James Griffiths and Jeff Party, both great YouTube vinyl community members. That's my dog Rowdy. He's wandering around here. He won't be still, and now he's trying to hang out with me. So if you hear some rattling going on, that's what's going on with that. So have no fear, nothing's coming to get me. So recently, James and Jeff did a joint video discussing the band XTC. And it's a great video, it's a great discussion. Go check it out. But they're talking about XTC. They list their 3 favorite XTC records and just talk about their sort of involvement with the band XTC. XTC is a band that I came to appreciate much later on, but I do appreciate them now. I think they made great records. And one of the things, I think James said it in the video, got me to thinking about this. And he was talking about the music that the band made once Terry Chambers, the drummer, the original drummer for the band, at least on record, the records they made with Terry Chambers and the records they made after Terry Chambers left the band, and specifically the album Mummer, and how Terry Chambers, like the band's early stuff, like this album, White Music, the band's early records were sort of this post-punk, sort of attitude-y, kind of, if you want to call it that, post-punk, new wave, whatever you want to call that stuff. But the music was real aggressive, really in your face, and a lot of that James attributed to the drumming of Terry Chambers. Now, once Terry left the band in the early 80s, the band became a little more folky. The musical arrangements became more rich. Andy Partridge and Colin Moulding's songs became more complex. And it was just a different sounding band. Now, I'm not talking about a band that they lose a key member and they sort of change their sound. That's not what I'm saying. And I don't know that Terry is the great example in what I'm trying to get at with this discussion, because I'm kind of building on that. And the build on is that I was having a discussion with my old bandmate and musical partner, Danny. Hi, Danny. There's a video I did way back where I'm at Danny's shop, Sweet Lorraine's in North Mississippi. You should go check that video out as well. But we were talking about a couple of bands that we really love that have members in there that, are they good? I don't know. They don't get really discussed in the sort of grand scheme of great musicians or anything. But these particular people were great in that band, which that is the discussion that I want to have. A band who has a member that is just really perfect for that band. Now, the first example is a band that you all know that I love, Big Star. Big Star, Memphis power pop band from the early 70s, very influential. Alex Chilton, Chris Bell, Andy Hummel, and this guy, Jody Stephens. Now, that's who I want to talk about as a great example. Now, Jody, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, really great attitude, really super cool guy. Big Star, a band that I love, a band whose records I love. I've often listened to Big Star and listened to the drumming in particular. And the drumming is so unique. It's a very sort of herky-jerky, almost awkward sounding. His drum fills are kind of take you off guard, and they're almost accidental, if you will. They're great and they're brilliant. And so Danny and I were talking like, boy, would Jody have fit in a band like ours, which we tried to sound a lot like Big Star just because we love the band. But I'm not knocking his drumming, I'm not knocking his ability, but I know that Jody never really played in any other bands. I know he's had some other projects, and the diehards will argue, well, he went to work with Ardent and he continued in that path, and that's great. But he seems to be the perfect drummer for Big Star. Everything he plays seems to really work with the music, to me. And I think Jody Stephens is the perfect example of what I'm trying to get at with this video, in that a band whose members are great for that band. Jody Stephens with Big Star is my first example. Now, I'm only going to give two because I want you guys to participate. So if you think of anybody, go ahead and do a video, like I said. And the second one, it's another discussion I've had with Danny. That's the band Cheap Trick, another band that we love. This is the album Heaven Tonight. And the member that we're talking about is Rick Nielsen. I think Rick Nielsen is a great guitarist. He's never really listed in like the great rock guitarist list or anything. You never see his name show up. But I think the stuff he played with Cheap Trick, particularly the iconic Budokan album, which most of you have probably heard and know, I think his guitar soloing is so wacky and interesting, and he just tosses off these sort of lead lines, just whatever, all willy-nilly almost. He's not like a guitar hero in the true sense that he goes on these long tangent sort of solos and builds and all that stuff, but it's sort of like, here's a little lick here, here's a lick there, and it works for Cheap Trick and what they're doing musically. I dig it. Rick Nielsen, would he have been good in any other band? I don't know. I mean, some would argue he's the principal songwriter. Why wouldn't he? But those are my examples. Two members of a band that works for that band. I don't know that Rick Nielsen would have been a great guitarist in any other band but Cheap Trick. Same thing with Jody Stephens. Would he have worked in any other band except for Big Star? And maybe it's a loaded question. I don't know, because, we don't know the answer to that. If Rick Nielsen had been in some other band, would we still know who Rick Nielsen is? I don't know. But I know that those two musicians are not particularly, regarded as the great drummer or the great guitarist of their time or anything like that. But I love what they play in the context of that band. And so that leads to the question, what bands have members that are only good for that band? I hope that makes sense. I hope that my examples provide some clarity. And to back off of the James and Jeff question regarding Terry Chambers and how he fit into XTC and their sound, maybe that's what I'm getting at in a broader scope as bands who were defined by a particular member and the way they played. However you want to interpret the question, I just want you guys to get involved. So comment down below. Let me know if you think of anybody, and better yet, make a video yourself. Post the link to your video down in my comment section so people can go check out your channel. And let me know when you do so, because I want to see what your thoughts are. So that's it. That's a musical question. What band had a member that was only good for that band? Simple enough. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time on the next musical adventure. In the meantime, you know what to do. Save the Texas Prairie Chicken.